say it's a lot on under, but a lot of times we're right. I know that when it comes to sports takes, you're gonna miss something. But I think more often than not, we get it right. And what did we say a few weeks? CJ Stroud would struggle against the Carolina Panthers defense.
And by the way, if anybody wants to like try us or say, "Oh, y'all was just tooting your home," I mean, it's recorded. It's on video.
Yeah, it's on. You can go check it on YouTube, Facebook, whatever.
It's right. It's right here. So
we said CJ Stroud would struggle against the Panthers defense, and the Panthers. This would probably be their first win of the season. And I know everyone knows this now. The Carolina Panthers won today 15-13, despite some self-inflicted adversity. Our first win of the season just happens to come, when Thomas Brown takes over play calling duties. There's some debate about, how much that had to do with it. So Jamal is the slightly English black fan this week, and I'm still numb. I mean, I can only get so happy about this win, especially because and we did call it, but you're gonna have you won't face Anthony Richardson next week, which might be a good thing for Indianapolis, but you're going to face a weak Colts team and then a weak Bears team. And then you're probably not going to win any more games the rest of the season. So, I mean, we can revel in this win.
I'm still holding out hope we beat the Falcons. I still holding out a little bit of hope for that one.
Division games are tough because the division is still not strong. Yeah, and it looks like the Falcons end up losing today. They were losing last time I saw, 23-28. The Saints were winning, and with the Bucs lost last week, the division is still in flux. I don't think it's going to be like last season where the Panthers pull off an amazing run and end up vying for the conference championship or the division championship, excuse me. But the division is still bad, and we can beat any of those other three teams. So, but yeah, I mean, it was first of all, let's just start off with this and get this out of the way. I think we can put to bed the Bryce Young versus CJ Stroud argument. I don't want to hear it anymore.
I'm done. Don't talk to me about CJ Stroud ever again. I don't want to hear it.
Yep, don't want to hear it. Yeah, and that's not to take anything from CJ Stroud. I feel like he's going to be a really, really good NFL quarterback.
Absolutely.
But I feel like Bryce Young's going to be a really, really good NFL quarterback as well. And I'm convinced Carolina Panthers made the correct pick. And today is a further indication of that because it was clear at the beginning of the game that CJ Stroud had the better cast of players around him. Now, his offensive line far superior to the Panthers offensive line, which gave up 6 sacks for 55 yards a day. So I don't want to hear it.
So, man, we're gonna get right to it. We know what everybody wants to talk about today. This was the Young Stroud Bowl. There's no way around it. Now, I can sit here and talk about how really the real story of the game was the defense, but to hell with that. We are going to talk about Young versus Stroud. Like you said, Kaza, the story told itself at the beginning of the game. CJ Stroud's cast is still, to me, better than what Bryce Young has around him. The offensive line was god awful. Let me go ahead and shout at them real quick, man. I'm sick and tired of saying this name every week for the wrong reasons. Ike Ekwonu, you are teetering on bus level, buddy. Yeah. You are teetering on Jeff Otah status, buddy. Like, Ekwonu got dominated today. Now, I say that to say that Bryce Young, from what we've been saying on this show, every week you saw Bryce Young get a little better every week. And in particular, you saw Bryce Young's improvisational skills, the escapability, the anticipation, did not throw an interception today. All these little things. The reason why Bryce Young got drafted number 1 We saw it all today. I think it all manifested today. Everything Bryce Young had to do, the work he had to do to make this offense look functional versus what CJ Stroud had to do, it was all there. There's nothing else to say. Bryce Young had to escape the Texas pass rush damn near every other down. He made all the big throws. There's a game-winning 81-yard drive if you need to see any more. I mean, what else is there to say, man?
Yeah, Young's box score looks pretty damn good. 21 of 31, that's 70%, almost on the dot. 235 yards, a touchdown, averaged 7.5 yards a throw for 103.6 rating, compared to CJ Stroud, who was 16 for 24 for 140 yards, despite only being sacked twice, passer rating of 81. Yeah, I felt like Bryce stepped up and his guys were letting him down early. Jonathan Mingo had a decent game with 4 catches for 62 yards, including a big one late in the game where he was wide open. But anyone can catch a wide open pass. Bro, you got to run that out route and catch that ball. There was a third down early in the game that, I mean, you couldn't have put it in a better place. Bryce Young, super accurate.
Yeah.
Mingo didn't come up with it. Those plays.
Hey, at least he got open this time.
At least he got open. Hey, he's a rookie too. I'm gonna cut him some slack.
No doubt.
But honestly, I feel like the receivers weren't as terrible today as they normally were, but the offensive line was especially bad. I was watching the game like, is this the worst offensive line we've ever had in the 30 years of Carolina Panthers football? I mean,
this was easily one of the worst performances I've ever seen, and that's not hyperbole or me exaggerating. This is literally one of the worst O-line performances I have ever seen. And just, and not to be repetitive, but again, this is what Bryce Young has had to overcome all season, and I guess if there's a positive about that, it's simply making Bryce Young better. I mean, again, incrementally getting better every week despite his offensive line.
Yeah, a lot of people feel like throwing Bryce Young to the wolves behind a bad O-line could be bad for him. We saw what that did to Sam Darnold. But I don't think Bryce is like that. I think he's figuring out how to play behind a bad O-line, which is something some quarterback – Cam Newton did it, right?
Yeah. Right.
Russell Wilson did it. He won a Super Bowl, went to 2 Super Bowls. That Seahawks offensive line was not good. I think he's figuring out. We see a lot more movement from him. I see better. There are a lot of times early in the season where I was like, man, Bryce Young should have just run that. And I understand we don't want Bryce Young running all the time, but there were times where he was like, hey, I gotta run this. I gotta run this first down in.
I got to make a play. I got to make a play either way.
Right? And he did. He made some pretty big plays. Didn't turn over the ball, which was, of course, maybe the biggest thing of the day. So, props to Bryce Young. I mean, I don't know what other complaints Panthers fans could have about him this season. I just don't see anymore. Now, there are other complaints to be had.
Now there's a lot of other complaints to be had about this team. Yeah,
the Panthers are still a bad team, and there is some potential. There's some things there, and it's going to take some time, I think, to make those tweaks. But it starts with the coaching staff, and I felt like we came very close to getting outcoached today. Even though this was Thomas Brown was calling the plays, I wasn't that impressed with the play calling. Not the plays themselves, but the situational play calling.
Yeah, right.
For instance, Bryce Young had a 30-yard throw to Jonathan Mingo to put us in Houston territory. The very next play, run up the middle. Now they ran from shotgun, but still, it's like I understand what you were trying to do. Maybe keep the defense honest there, but let Bryce cook, man. Like, you like go for the throw. Instead, they run up the middle. They get nothing. They run again and they pick up 8, but now it's 3rd and 2, and now you have to throw. and the Panthers don't pick the first down up, and we end up having after a big play.
You kind of stole my thunder on Thomas Brown's play calling, man, because I'm actually split right down the middle with his play calling, because one thing I did like, and one thing that every Panthers fan has been dying to see from Bryce Young and from the offense in particular is downfield throws. And I feel like finally they let him do that, or Thomas Brown were calling plays that allow Bryce Young to actually throw the ball down the field. Bryce Young had his first 30-plus yard completion this season, which 6 games into the season is crazy, but at least it happened. And so I like Thomas Brown's play calling to that effect. But the red zone play calling and the 3rd and 4th down play calling, it left a lot to be desired, man.
This game shouldn't have been a 2-point win. Yeah,
right.
The Panthers, right. I'm sorry, you get the ball that close with 4 downs, you got to score. You have to. And the last play that they called on that one drive where they didn't punch it in was actually not a bad play call. That's just a really tight window for any quarterback to make. And Thielen didn't come down with it in the middle of 3 defenders.
I'll offer you this: if you don't have bad play calling before that play call, then you're not in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying?
I would have liked to have seen more runs. So we had one run to the outside, which there was a holding call that called it back, but I'm struggle to think that scared the coaching staff out of calling outside runs. I think that was something we could have, won there, but we ultimately weren't able to run the ball because the Texans had decided they were going to not let us beat them with the run and make Bryce Young put the game on his shoulders, which he did.
Right. Yeah. Now I want to ask a question that may be a bit controversial, man. Have we seen the last of Miles Sanders? Because I'm asking this because I'm looking at this game and I'm looking how Chuba Hubbard, I'm not saying Chuba Hubbard was spectacular by any means today, but he did his job and he was very effective.
I saw more out of a 28 performance from Chuba than I've seen from Miles Sanders all year.
It was like, if you look at Hubbard's game by the numbers, it's like, what are we talking about, right? But he did everything he needed to do. You understand what I'm saying? So is Miles Sanders effectively, what is the word I'm looking for, expendable at this point?
Trade deadline's Tuesday, and maybe the Panthers didn't play him because –
right.
Because, okay, so – now the situation is we're not as good of a team as we thought we were, and so now we need draft picks back. And Miles Sanders is a very good NFL running back. We saw that with Philly last year, but Philly is a much better team, and you could possibly, deal Miles Sanders to get some kind of draft capital back for him. And in fact, I kind of think that's what the Panthers should do. Raheem Blackshear looked good too coming out of the backfield. That's something we haven't seen.
What do we say about Raheem Blackshear? What do we say about that dude? Every time he touches the ball, something good happens.
Good things happen. I like the fact that they were throwing to him out of the backfield, and the way that they did it was differently. In previous weeks, runners out of the backfield were not like even a hot read. They were like, hey, this is like your last dump off. And they weren't putting any receivers on the same side that they would have their running backs come out of the backfield on. So the defense could really kind of cheat. You had like a free defender that could go pick up that running back. They changed that this week. They would bring the running back out of the backfield on the same side as a receiver or a tight end in the flat, making the defense have to decide who they were going to defend. And we saw big plays from Raheem Blackshear out catching balls out of the backfield because of that. So, although I agree with Toby here, I don't see anyone taking that $7 million per year contract to Sanders.
Yeah, I agree. Agreed. We may be stuck with that.
Yeah, especially considering how the NFL views running backs now. That would be tough. But the thing is, Chuba Hubbard looks like he's here to play. and Miles Sanders got some work to do. So.
Yeah. And not only that, man, but we've seen. I mean, if it comes down to it, we've seen productive running backs get picked in third, fourth, and fifth rounds. You understand what I'm saying? So there's just really no need. Not to mention, you traded a Christian McCaffrey for salary cap reasons. So don't sit here and tell me you're not going to do the same with Miles Sanders.
Absolutely, yeah. They could work something out. That's what GMs are for, right? I know the Panthers don't have a GM; it's just a bunch of dudes. Just make it up. But Swagner, I don't know what was up, but the refereeing for this game was very NFL like. I'll just put it that way. But that call was very iffy to me, only because other quarterbacks would have gotten that call. You think Aaron Rodgers don't get that call? Or
Mahomes probably wouldn't even have to slide to get that call, man. Like, look, the way that the referees explain the non-call makes it sound great, and it probably technically was right, but enforce it the same way for every quarterback. You understand what I'm saying? We know what other quarterbacks, we know they would have gotten that call. That's it's as simple as that.
Absolutely. What's going on with DJ Chark? I don't know how I feel about DJ Chark.
I do.
I think the Panthers are using him wrong. There was a play earlier in which they had Chark essentially running a go route or a seam route, but the safety did not bite on the route on the opposite side of the field, and the seam was closed. It would have been a really bad throw for Bryce Young to make. And you could see Bryce look to make that throw. That was probably his first read, as seam routes a lot of times are, but it wasn't there. And then Bryce had to go elsewhere. And I'm like, DJ Chark is supposed to be like at worst our number 2 receiver. In fact, he's supposed to be the number 1. Thielen was probably brought in to be the number 2. I mean, running Chark on these like simple routes that don't involve double moves or I don't know. I feel like maybe the Panthers, the way that they use him might be wrong.
Yeah. And here's what I'm thinking, like, we don't have access to like film technology, obviously, man, but I kind of just wonder with him and Shenault on opposite sides, right? Because Shenault, it's not like Shenault is not like some possession guy. Shenault can get by some people. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So I just wonder, is like, are they using Chark more as a decoy, like a lot more than they should use him as a decoy? When I say decoy, I mean the stretch guy, the guy that's always running seam route.
So once again, Adam Thielen has a great game, but he had 11 targets, and I'm okay with quarterbacks having safety blankets. I mean, look at Cam Newton made Greg Olsen a Hall of Famer. I'm not saying that Greg wouldn't have been a Hall of Famer elsewhere, but Cam was like, "Yo, where's Greg?"
Where's Greg?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Bryce is like, "Where's Adam Thielen at?" Right? 11 targets, whereas Chark only have 4. Either Thielen's getting open and Chark is not, or they're making Thielen the first read on a lot of these plays. Yeah, and I agree with this. They even said this during the broadcast that they were saying DJ Chark and Bryce, were training camp, looked good together. I don't know. There's something there. I haven't watched enough. I haven't deep dived the film enough to say what's going on with that. But just from what I see in the games,
Well, don't discount the fact that Bryce Young has about 0.3 seconds to throw the damn ball. So there's probably not a lot of times to actually throw the ball down the field. You understand what I'm saying? Because Thielen is a possession guy, and a lot of times Young has to go to his first read, which is Thielen. So I even think like the entire passing game and the offensive line as a whole probably has a lot to do with that as well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, every piece of the offense has to be in sync. If you give Bryce Young time to throw, he gonna dot cats up. That's
We
what
saw
I
it
see.
today.
Yeah,
We
that's
saw
what
it today.
I see every week. Like when he has time to throw, he always makes a good throw. And in fact, the Panthers pass plays are like a roller coaster of emotion. As soon as he snaps the ball and drops back, I watch that pocket collapse, and I'm like, oh, I mean, every play the pocket just implodes. And then if I see Bryce let it go, I know it's a big play. That means he found somebody, and it's almost always an accurate on-target pass. So, I mean, I just don't know how the Panthers moving forward fix the offensive line because you don't have a draft pick.
I mean, because we've seen in seasons past where the offensive line starts off really rough, and then towards the end of the season they kind of gel together.
Yeah.
I think me and you agree. We don't see it with this offensive line. They just look bad. That's
too many people losing one-on-ones.
Right.
Well, at some point,
including your left tackle. Yeah.
I mean, how many times are you gonna let Bryce Young get hit blind? Like that's yeah. And the commentators are even saying we're not trying to make excuses. Nah, man, that's the truth, bro.
That's the truth. Yeah, ain't no excuse.
Yeah, you're not protecting Bryce Young, so.
And I mean, and not to like scare Panther Nation here, man, but that cannot continue, dude. Like that, just
Bryce tough.
He's tough to do, man.
All the talk of him being too small. Hey, man, he taking some shots,
and not just that, man, but he's getting out of a lot of. He's escaping a lot of hits too, man, and that's just not sustainable. Like you just can't you can't rely on that from week to week.
Yeah, I don't think it's time to give up on Moton. Yeah, you can give up on him. Icky, I mean, it's just his second season, and
right.
we know what the sophomore slump looks like. There's obviously a lot of potential with Ikongwu. I mean, there's potential there. So you got to coach him up. You got to find a way to make him better. And if Ikongwu ends up being a bust, I got to put that on the coaching staff.
Yeah, absolutely.
He didn't look this bad as a rookie under Steve.
Right.
Wilkes. So I mean,
right.
What's the difference here?
There's some disconnect there. Now, my answer may be surprising when it comes to Taylor Moton, and here's my answer when it comes to Moton, man. You can't give up on Taylor Moton until you find a replacement. And the reason I say that because right tackles in the NFL are just not easy to come by. That's just it's just what it is. You understand what I'm saying? And now I get it with Taylor Moton's salary, the cap situation may be appealing, but at the same time, he is a vet. You understand? And if you let him go, you better have a good replacement for him because it could get worse. Even as horrible as it is now, it could be worse if you don't find a good replacement for Moton. So that's something the GM's gonna have to work out too, man.
I feel like there's something there with the Panthers. They're not a good team, but there are some things you could grab on.
Right.
There are certain players who are obviously very, very talented, and the Panthers don't know how to make the tweaks in order to make those things work for them. I'm not saying today was like a fluke because we did pick the Panthers to win, but like they shot themselves in the foot a few times.
A lot. Yeah.
And I think if they had been playing on the road, they would have lost. So, you gotta. I don't know if Frank Reich. I'm still not sold. Like this win does nothing to change my perception of Frank Reich. I mean, they beat a rookie quarterback.
Look, I'm gonna play devil's advocate real quick, Kaza, and I'll ask you this question, man. Do we give Frank Reich any props for Bryce Young's development? Because we're on record saying Bryce Young is getting better every week. Does Frank Reich deserve credit for that?
Maybe, yeah, that could be it, but it's possible to have a coach that is good at that, but not
at that one thing, right?
Being a head coach entails a lot of different things. I mean, a lot of times, and I think people in our chat know this, the head coach is not even directly involved with a lot of players. There's players.
Wait, hey, Kaza, wait. But isn't that what we got the all-star coaching staff for? Is that not what we got to?
That's what I'm thinking. I still don't know what those guys are doing. Yeah, good comment here. Bryce might be smarter than Frank. I'm saying Bryce, Bryce Young he can read the defense.
I don't know why that's funny. That's funny.
Because it's true. It's funny because it's true. Bryce Young be like, oh, this ain't the right play call. Kill.
And look, ain't it something you got some rookie quarterback out there calling audibles that much? Seriously.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing that really at all ever in the league.
Hell, they didn't even let Cam Newton do that his first year.
Yeah, it took Cam like 3 years for they were like, okay, you can audible.
I guess you can call audibles now.
But yeah, I mean, I will say this. I am pleased they got the win. I am really more pleased at Bryce Young's performance despite the adversity. The long drive to put them in range, a lot of smart plays, a lot of smart throws. Bryce didn't look rattled, even though he got hit 1 million times and sacked 6 times. All it took for the Hornets to get a win was for the Panthers to get their first win. And it's funny because I think our boy JG asked us who would get a win first, Panthers or Hornets, and it was the Hornets got the win first, but really by default because the NBA season started last week, and the Panthers get their first win. Let's see. Who are you? I mean, offensive MVP is obvious, right? I mean,
right. Absolutely. We don't even have to say it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Bryce Young played a really good game. He won the Stroud Young Bowl. Which I'm glad because boy, media would have been insufferable this week.
Listen, Kaz, I said this yesterday, man. I would not want to work for WFNZ tomorrow if we would have lost this game. Oh my God, the CJ Stroud commission would have been in full effect all week.
It wouldn't even mattered if what the box score stats was. Stroud got the W. That's the only stat that matters, right? Because that's what I've been hearing. Because CJ Stroud actually has not played well the last few weeks.
Wonder why we haven't heard about that.
Yeah, I know. We're how that hadn't come up. He's gonna get offensive rookie of the year. Well, he hadn't played well, but he got the W. Okay, well, Bryce Young played well and got the W today. So that's him for winning the number 1, number 2 pick bowl. So defensive MVP. I think there's a lot of people you could pick here.
I got mine, man. I'm going with Louisville.
Yeah.
I think Louisville, it was so good having him back today, man. So Frankie Louisville is my defensive MVP, man. He got a sack. He got two tackles for losses. But I'm throwing a butt in here, man. And this is just more of a shout out. This is not my defensive MVP. I told you about my Florida State boy. I told you he was going to get on the field. Jamie Robinson saw some real action today. My Florida State boy is on his way. He had 6 tackles today, man. I mean, nothing crazy, but I'm just happy to see my FSU boy get on the field. That's it, man. I just wanted to shout out my boy Jamie Robinson today.
Although I said Frankie Louisville, but Dante Jackson actually played a really good game today.
Derek Brown played a good game today too, man.
Dante Jackson had some good tackles. He's always been a good tackler, which is why I feel like he should be in the slot anyway. But it had a very timely fumble, punched the ball out on a tackle, which Xavier Woods recovered, and the Panthers were able to get 3 points out of that. The defense played well today, and I think maybe there was some pride in that. You're not going to let CJ Stroud, you're not going to let a rookie come into your house and dot you up.
Right.
You're not going to do that. So props to the defense. The offense, props to Bryce Young and Adam. And here's the thing. Adam Thielen probably won't be here next year. I mean,
it's just fact. Yeah.
He's 42,000 years old. So he's having a renaissance season, but this might be near the end for him. Frankie Louisville might not be back next year.
Because of cap reasons, because somebody's going to pay him.
Brian Burns, I mean, he'll be here because of the franchise tag if they don't get a deal in, but the Panthers could see a lot of significant turnover at the end of the season without any draft compensation.
Right.
So you got a team that's already bad that despite picking up a really good quarterback in the draft, might even be worse. I mean, if Adam Thielen says, "Hey, I got to retire. I just can't take the abuse anymore," now what do you do?
Yeah, your safety blanket's going now. So,
and then you might have to end up trading You might have to end up trading a guy like Frankie Luvu. So,
trade CJ Henderson. Can they do that?
Hey, he defended a pass by falling down earlier. I'll give him.
Yeah. Look, to be fair, we didn't call his name for the wrong reasons a lot today.
Yeah,
I'll easily go on CJ Henderson today, man.
Yep. We didn't see a lot of whoever that was that got shook by Tank Dell, though. They gotta
pick your ankles up on the 48-yard line. Yeah.
It's too much of that happening this season, man.
Hey, did you hear that DJ Johnson hurt himself celebrating the win after the game?
Oh Lord. Yeah, don't. And I mean, okay, it's the first one in the season, but we don't have to parade Freddie Pinheiro around the stadium.
Yeah, chill out, y'all.
Yeah,
I know it's been a while since we felt some joy around here with the Panthers. Just y'all calm down. So don't hurt yourself, please. Literally.
Yeah. Eddie Pinheiro, though, although he missed an extra point that ended up being non-consequential, but that was a big kick, and I know it's like a chip shot, but those are the ones that we see kickers miss.
Right.
The ones that they should make. And he made that. Although doing Madden shit, like getting penalties on purpose to try and stop the clock and freeze the kicker.
That's Bush League. That's Bush League shit, man. It is.
And the fact that the Panthers could not decline that unembedded
right
to the quarterback. There's no quarterback, but that's the rule. Is ridiculous. NFL got to look at that. Yeah. And I know that's not something you see players do a lot because, like you said, it's Bush League. It's kind of trash. But yeah, that was.
Man, shout out to Pinheiro for having the mental toughness to make that kick, even though it was a chip shot. You understand what I'm saying?
Especially since he had missed one.
Right. And, but especially since the guy from the Texans, kind of disrupted the flow and disrupted the rhythm for two plays. That's important. You understand what I'm saying? So for Pinheiro to have the mental fortitude to go ahead and make that kick, shout out to him, man.
Let's say the Texans block it.
Right.
How's that fair that you just let a guy got to essentially erase a good kick on purpose so that he gets another chance to block it?
So what if Pinheiro misses it or they block it? Either way, if I'm the Panthers, if I'm Frank Reich, I'd be furious either way, man. Because that's just.
I mean, it's more of the rule. The rule is bad. So I hope the Panthers, and Panthers, hey, if you ain't got nobody to do this, call your boy. I'll do it. I'll write nasty grams in the NFL. Like, hey, what's wrong with this rule, man? You should have this guy. All he gets is a personal foul.
Right.
Who out there wouldn't trade a personal foul for a win?
Hello.
Next week, Carolina Panthers face the Indianapolis Colts and it won't be rookie versus rookie, as Anthony Richardson looks like. I think he's gone for the season.
Yeah.
Due to a shoulder injury. How do you see this one playing out? It's an afternoon game, which is interesting. Now, the Colts did lose today to the Saints, but Gardner Minshew played pretty well, and it was a closer game than a lot of people expected.
Yeah. I am going to ride this wave of optimism, and I'm going to pick us to win another low-scoring game next week. I got the Panthers winning, I'm going to say 24-17 next week.
I like that. 24-17. I'm going to agree with you there.
Because the Colts are not good. Let me be very clear about that.
21-17. I'm not going to give them 24. I still think that, the game plan against the Panthers will be for the rest of the season, stop the run and run the ball on the Panthers. And you will win. And Indianapolis is going to do that, and they can actually do that. So
And they got Jonathan Taylor back, which is kind of scary, quite honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the question will be, can we keep Gardner Minshew in check?
The one thing I like about the Panthers going into next week is that they're getting healthy on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
We saw Frankie Louvu back today. We saw Dante Jackson back today. And look at the big difference both of those players made today. So I do like it.
Had a big play. So
right. We're not putting CJ Henderson on number one receivers. You understand what I'm saying? So those two being back make a big difference. So that's the main reason why I'm picking the Panthers to win next week.
Okay, we'll see. We have not. Well, I haven't picked wrong all season, but I don't know. See, watch when I finally picked the Panthers. Although I picked them to win this week, but like it was a sketchy pick. I feel more confident about this pick, but that's when they'll lose. So we'll see. Anyway, congrats. I did not pull any cigars out of the humidor today because
no doubt.
I don't even think that they don't deserve a $12 cigar. Like I might find like a backwoods to smoke.
Backwoods, damn.
I have some backwoods I can smoke in celebration. So
that's the backwoods.
Yeah, that's what they get today, backwoods.
And now
there's another team in Charlotte.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Oh, the Charlotte Hornets.
Charlotte Hornets basketball is back, baby. Yeah.
Hornets played 2 games last week against Atlanta and Detroit. And they probably didn't go like most people thought they would, but they finished those games 1-1, which is what most people thought they would. They beat the Atlanta Hawks on opening night, 116-110. They lose to the Detroit Pistons and 111-99 in a interesting officiated game. I'll say that.
To say the least.
I don't believe in blaming the refs. Honestly, even NBA refs, who I've always maintained are corrupt. But boy, that Pistons game, they lost because of terrible refereeing. I mean,
let's get to that a little later. I got a lot to say about that one, buddy. We'll start with this Hawks game first.
We'll start with the Hawks game, in which, boy, PJ Washington, who just got married, by the way, congratulations.
Hope this one goes well.
Yep. If PJ Washington, I remember thinking after that game, boy, if PJ Washington plays like this, the other, 9 games until Miles Bridges comes back, there's no way you can send him back to the bench.
Right.
There's no way. You can't.
Right.
Now, the regular PJ Washington showed up the next night, but let's talk about the Atlanta PJ Washington. Essentially, he pulled some new things out of his bag. Very physical. He was 12 for 18 for 25 points. He just couldn't be stopped. And we're talking about a team that has Clint Capella up front.
Right.
What do you think about that?
All right, man. I thought, this game, early in that game, man, the Hornets looked really sloppy. A lot of turnovers in the first half, which is very uncharacteristic for the Hornets. Out of all the problems that the Hornets have had historically, turnovers have really not been an issue for the Hornets under Steve Clifford. But this particular game and the Detroit game as well, man, they really struggled with turnovers. However, like you said, PJ Washington picked up a lot of the slack, man. And I liked the diversity he was showing in the game. He only went 1 for 6 from 3, but I like the fact that he was taking it to the basket, shooting that little floater, showing a mid-range game. Like, he kind of showed his whole bag, man. So I was really impressed with that. LaMelo Ball. Let's talk about Mr. LaMelo Ball real quick. I'm gonna cut him some slack right now
because he didn't play in the preseason.
Steve Clifford made a very good point. He's been rehabbing that knee the ankle all season. So he's probably not in the best shape right now. But let me be very clear, Mr. LaMelo Ball. You just got paid $250 million, homeboy. You cannot shoot 30% for the rest of the season and expect the Hornets to do anything. Now, for the Hawks game, LaMelo went 4 for 15 and the Hornets won despite that. That's a really good sign, but it is not sustainable. You understand what I'm saying? Because we don't now, like you said, if PJ Washington plays like that every night, that's fine. But I don't expect PJ Washington to play like that every night, man. So yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed is the Hornets were very physical. I think that was the story of the game. Our big men, Nick Williams and Nick Richards played a hell of a game. Against Atlanta's front court. They were very physical, and they ended up being actually their downfall in the Detroit game. We'll talk about that later, but they were real physical against the Atlanta Hawks, and I think that was able to take the Hawks out of their offensive rhythm. Trae Young didn't look very good at all.
Yeah, no, I don't think we saw. To be fair, I don't think we saw the real Trae Young that game. Honestly,
I think that was the real Trae Young.
You think so?
I think that was. LaMelo Ball wasn't guarding him for one. Terry Rozier guarded him most of the night. And I think they did a really good job of making Trae Young do what he does best, which is take bad shots. And sometimes he makes those shots, and he did not last night. In fact, when I saw him take like the final shot, I was happy when the ball was in his hands. It's like he's gonna miss. Now he ended up hitting the shot that he should have missed, where he tried to flop and he makes the three, and the refs fortunately, saw through that BS. But I felt like the Hornets showed a lot of defensive effort that we had not seen like ever. And I think that was sparked by the play of Mark Williams.
Yeah.
Mark does cover up a lot of things defensively because.
Hey, Kaza, how good does it feel to know that you got the other team driving to the lane and they're like afraid of a guy? Like they think twice.
Yeah,
Mark growing up.
They're like Mark Williams might toss. That block that he had on Trae Young
when he grabbed the ball out the air. Yes, sir.
I mean, it's just like, and that was his only block of the game, but he influenced so many Atlanta shots that really his play, and Nick Richards played very well too, I think was the key to us winning that game.
I'll tell you another key to us winning that game, man. Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, they were a combined 7 for 33.
Yeah. It's funny because if you go to the Atlanta Hawks, like their SB Nation board, and go to their game thread, they despise the Trae Young DeJounte Murray duo. They feel like it's just not going to work. It's not a good fit. And all they did was talk shit about Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, like all game.
I mean, based off those stats, I don't blame them. I mean, come on, like 7 for 33.
Yeah, and look at the money they're making. So
right.
Speaking of fit, remember when I said many months ago, the best player available is bullshit, and sometimes fit is good.
You don't say. I wonder who you could be talking about.
Say.
Who you talking about? Somebody on the Hornets, right?
Yeah, a guy who everyone. I didn't. We were laughing, but at the draft party, 99% of the people at that party,
99.9.
Yeah, it was maybe like 8,000 people there. Booed when they
this young man.
When they said the number 2 pick, Charlotte Hornets select Brandon Miller, and all we heard for the next few months about how we got it wrong, how Scoot Henderson was the better pick. Brandon Miller scores 18 points in a summer league debut. No one, he should have done better than that. He's playing scrubs. Oh my God. We don't win that game unless Brandon Miller does what Brandon Miller did late in the fourth quarter.
You mean like playing really good defense and hitting 2 really critical 3-pointers?
Massive shots. This ain't the Scoot Henderson show, but Scoot Henderson hasn't looked good so far in his first couple games.
Just an FYI. Yeah. We don't want to spend too much time on Scoot, but just the FYI for you Scoot fans out there.
He's absolutely. Well, he's looked bad. Really, 7 points and 11 points, which is interesting considering that Dame being gone, Scoot has all the
green light
like super green light to do whatever he wants. But see, I think that hurts him, and I think Brandon Miller is in a better situation. We don't need Brandon Miller to go out and score 30 points a game. It's great if he does, but we don't need that. He just needs to fit within the system and look and make the big plays, make the right plays, which he's done. He did that in the Detroit game too, which we'll talk about. But Brandon Miller made some big plays. He impacted the game, which is something people said he could do.
Guys, I told you this off camera a few weeks ago, man. I'm not worried about Brandon Miller the least bit. And I'm going to say this again. With Brandon Miller, when he gets more comfortable and when he gets more confident, y'all better watch out, man. I like what I see. I like the competitive spirit I see out of this dude. I mean, we saw this dude get up in Isaiah Stewart's face, you know what I'm saying, the second game. Like, it's this little thing, and I can't put my finger on. It's like this competitive edge that Brandon Miller has that I'm seeing personally that I love about him, man.
They said Scoot had that dog in him. They said it was Scoot. So,
but Kaza, you listen. You walk up to the draft podium and it's the biggest night of your life, and then you go on YouTube or something and you hear Charlotte fans booing you. How that's gonna make you feel?
Charlotte fans booing, the media criticizing Michael Jordan for the last move he made, as an owner, and it's a terrible one. I remember all the sports shows the next day were like, Charlotte got it wrong. And it's just 2 games into the season. I understand. And I do feel like Scoot's going to be a really good pro, right? But Brandon Miller is not a bad pick at all. And I feel like that's why I said during the summer, fit is important. I think he fits into what the Hornets need right now. And when he's ready to be a starter, which honestly he could probably start. It wouldn't surprise me if Gordon Hayward went back to the bench. Although Hayward has played decent these first 2 games, it wouldn't surprise me if we see Miller in the starting lineup very soon. But when he's able to make that jump, he's going to contribute and be a very good player.
You know what? And then here's the thing, man, about the whole Hayward Miller thing. To me, I've kind of softened my stance because, like a couple of weeks ago, I said it's probably not the worst idea to have Gordon Hayward on the bench to organize the offense for the second unit. But I don't foresee that happening. And either way, I think we both know Brandon Miller is going to have his time because I think we all agree Gordon Hayward's this is probably his last year here in Charlotte. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So next year, I mean, it's Brandon Miller's goal next year. He's going to be the starting small forward for this team next year. So his time is coming either way, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he'll be fine. I just hope that because at some point he's going to
happen. Yeah,
he's going to have a bad game, right? And the fans understand that he's a rookie. He's going to have to learn. But I think that he's shown these first 2 games, at the very least, his mentality is there. I can see why Michael Jordan liked this guy.
Yeah,
right? We don't know the details of what happened in that secret meeting between Brandon Miller and Michael Jordan before draft night, but I get the idea that they was on the court and he was talking shit to Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan was like, "Yeah, I like this kid.
I like this dude."
And we saw that in the Detroit game. Now the Hornets lost that game, but as we said before, the officiating was terrible. The Hornets could not be as physical with Detroit as they were with the Hawks the previous night, and that clearly threw them off. Late in the game, Isaiah Stewart should have been ejected for throwing a punch, but they missed it and they didn't do anything. He got in Brandon Miller's face, and Brandon Miller did the best thing you can do as an NBA player when someone is talking shit. You go right at him. And Isaiah Stewart stepped out of the way when he saw Brandon Miller come down. It was clear that there was going to be a collision at the basket. And Isaiah Stewart stepped out of the way, and Brandon Miller had a massive dunk.
By the way, Brandon Miller, 17.6 rebounds off the bench that game, man. Yeah, so I like what I see. But I wanted to say this, man. I think the Pistons' physicality caught the Hornets off guard. I don't think the Hornets were ready for that. On top of the referees not allowing them to be as physical as the Pistons were. Now, if we're being fair and you look at the stats, this is something we got to talk about. Jalen Duren, I mean, look, he straight out outplayed Mark Williams and Nick Richards. But there's a but here. it's kind of easy to outplay somebody when other dudes in foul trouble because you can't be physical with you on the other end.
Exactly. Mark Williams only played 21 minutes. So, you know, yeah, when a guy's in foul trouble and cannot foul you, you know, I don't know what to expect. I just felt like, I mean, you know how I feel about NBA refs. I just they can influence the game far more actually than NFL refs because a lot of the NBA, the physicality of the NBA is subjective. A referee might
absolutely
they can call anything anytime. So I hated it for Mark and Nick because see, if it had just been one of those guys that was getting the rough end of the foul stick, fair enough, whatever. But it was both of them and PJ Washington as well. Who ended up fouling out of the game. So
hey, real quick. I love what PJ did toward the end of that game when Isaiah Stewart was going for that layup and PJ just knocked the shit out of him. Thank you. I have been wanting to see that from a Hornets player forever. Yeah, thank you.
That was that Patrick Ewing coming back. He brought a little bit of that New York Knicks back to the team. Yeah, you don't do that. Game over. You don't need to do that. And I'm gonna stop you if you do. Good on PJ. You know what though? I was not that mad over them losing to the Pistons.
I'm not. Kaza, I was just about to say that. I'm going to use a word that you use a lot. That game was fluky. And I think me and you agree that was one of those fluky games where I'm like, look, if Detroit comes out and beats us again like that next game, hey, I'll shut up. I don't believe in the Pistons like that. I'm sorry, man. And I don't think that's going to happen again. I really don't. I really think that was a fluky game that I was just not too upset at all, man.
Yeah, I think the Hornets showed more heart than I had seen in a long time.
Right.
There's like this little swag to them, and I like the fact that the Pistons realized that they could be physical, and the refs weren't going to do anything about it, and so they were, and the Hornets didn't back down from that. They did not. I like that moving forward.
And the biggest reason the Hornets didn't win that game is because they just didn't hit shots. And I don't think that's going to happen with the Hornets a lot.
They only shot 37% from the floor.
Right. And again, LaMelo Ball, 4 for 17 from the field. So I don't think that's going to last forever, man. So if we get people who can actually put the ball in the basket to put the ball in the basket, I think it'll be a lot better next time, man. Should be anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was a lot of good things I saw, even in a loss.
Right.
I'm not that mad about it. The upcoming game against Brooklyn will be a test. Even though Brooklyn 0-2, I feel like they hadn't played bad. They didn't play all that bad against Cleveland and Dallas. I mean, Cleveland's good. Dallas is good. So this will be a pretty good test. Brooklyn's better than the Pistons. I'll say that. So
yeah, no doubt.
This will be an interesting test for them. So
next week,
let's see. Next week, the Hornets play. But between now and the next time you see us, they're going to play Brooklyn, Houston, Indiana, and then Dallas Sunday night.
Ooh, that's a lot of games in a week. That's my first thought.
Well, we'll do the next three: Brooklyn, Houston, and Indiana. Well,
yeah, do those three. Yeah, because Dallas is after we'll tape. So
the Brooklyn game is a toss-up, but I think that we'll beat Houston and Indiana. Now, those are road games, and this is a 3-game road trip. So here's our thing: we're gonna beat Brooklyn at home tomorrow, and we're gonna lose one of the games between Houston and Indiana. Probably,
I'll say Indiana.
It would be hard for me to imagine the Hornets losing to the Rockets.
But watch the Hornets do what the Hornets do. Watch they'll lose to Houston and beat the other two teams. But I'll predict the same for now. I'll say that.
So the Hornets went also, but the last time that we chatted, Hornets went out and re-signed Ish Smith. which I thought was a good thing. I thought that was a good sign.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt.
He did not play. Do you think he would have made a difference in the Dallas game, particularly late and with LaMelo Ball's shot not falling?
I'm going to throw a curveball at you, man. I don't think so. And here's why. I actually thought Teo Maledon played very well, man. I really do. Like, I think Teo Maledon played so well. I'm now wondering where Ish Smith is going to fit. Now, overall, I think Ish Smith organizes the offense a lot better than any point guard we have. But I think Teo Maledon is better defensively, which is why you saw Teo Maledon get a lot of minutes toward the end of the game. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just going to be interesting how he fits, man. Now, to answer the question, no, I don't think he would have made a difference in either game. But going forward, I'm really interested to see exactly how Clifford distributes those minutes now.
Yeah, it was like at first I was like, wow, that was a great move to bring Ish back. You get some veteran leadership. You get a guy from here who wants to play here. But then the season started and Maledon plays incredible.
I mean, he plays really well, man. Yeah.
Atlanta, and he played decent against Detroit. And to the point, it's like, man, there's not going to be any room for Ish Smith or Nick Smith Jr., honestly. I mean,
right.
And, a guy who I was high on before the season started, Bryce McGowan, he's.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, that's a great problem to have, though, if you're honest.
Yeah.
Maledon, you got a young guy playing well. You keep riding the hot hand.
Yep. All right, man. I told you I was going to infuse a culture topic. We got a little bit of time left, man. So I'm going to put you on the spot real quickly. And for those of you who are watching, please feel free to chime in as well. Kaiser, give me your top 5 Halloween songs.
Oh, boy. I'm gonna go. Boy, this is tough.
Yeah, man.
Well, we all know what number 1 is, right?
Right. I know what number 1 better be.
All right. So we all know what number 1 is. So we'll go.
I'm gonna let you think about it. I'll go.
Okay.
Let me go first. All right. Natural Born Killers. Ice Cube and Dr. Dre.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one. Okay. Yep.
All right. I'm also going to go Nightmare on My Street, Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff. This has to be, this is necessary. Mind Playing Tricks on Me, Ghetto Boys.
Ghetto Boys. This year, Halloween fell on the
weekend. On the weekend. Me and Ghetto Boys is Trick or Treat. We can sing that whole song. All right. All right. My next one. Somebody's Watching Me, Rockwell.
Okay, that was the first one I thought of, actually.
And, of course, number 1. Thriller, Michael Jackson. That's it.
I'll also add oh my god, I can't remember. Gravediggers.
Nowhere to Run, Nowhere to Hide.
Yeah, or anything off that album, which I think was underrated, which was an underrated album.
Same.
I was gonna say Diary of a Madman because that was the big hit song.
Right.
So yeah, I would also say Perlade came out and said Freaks Come Out at Night. That's another
good one. Good one. Yeah, good one.
And yeah, Thriller has to be number 1. I do have an interesting side story about Thriller. So we all know who the girl in Thriller, Ola Ray.
Ola Ray, yep.
My mom is actually really good friends with Ola Ray. They went to high school together in Japan. And they used to do modeling. They were actually in a commercial together with Muhammad Ali. And that's how Ola Ray she got into modeling and she did a Playboy shoot. And then and then that's how she got found for Michael Jackson's Thriller video. So her and my mom, they still talk and stuff all the time. But my mom says that every time she talks to Ola, it's always about like some Michael Jackson shit. Like I won't go into detail because I don't want to really out Ola Ray here on the show. But
you can tell me off camera.
She was saying some wild shit, and I'm like, really? Like, I don't know about that, Ola Ray. And to the point where she actually, before Michael Jackson died, she sued him, saying that she deserved royalties from Thriller. Which
I remember that.
Right, which is absurd. But anyway,
right.
All that to say that right after Michael Jackson died, Ola Ray actually made a tribute song to him, which is the worst song.
It was god awful. I heard it.
It's scarier than the Thriller video. It's called Remember. If anyone wants to torture themselves for like 4 minutes, go look up Ola Ray Remember.
It's so awful. It's so bad.
It is so bad. It is so bad. So my mom was like, last time I talked to my mom, I was like, you speak to Ola Ray recently? She was like, yeah, she still thinks she Michael Jackson's girlfriend. So I mean, that's what Thriller does to me.
I guess Michael had that effect on him.
Yeah. So
that's wild.
I guess there was a shout at I was gonna have earlier in the week. We got to shout out Charlotte FC.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Congrats. Yeah.
I don't want to hear Messi didn't care because he played.
He played. I want to hear that. I want to hear it.
Right? He was out there. I saw him. Right?
He made it a point to come back that match. I don't want to hear it. Yep.
Yeah. Don't want to hear it. Yep. I think he thought he could go out in the season with a win. He didn't get it. Charlotte FC makes his first playoff berth in only his second season. Real quick, is that a good thing? I mean, obviously a good thing to make a playoffs, but we see the Carolina Panthers do the same.
Kaza, I don't know how to answer that because I'm not going to sit here and act like I know the business of MLS soccer. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know the dynamics between how salary works and the business works. I don't have enough knowledge to answer that question. But on the surface, it's a great thing. And the main reason why it's a great thing for Charlotte FC, because going into next year, it should make ticket sales a lot better next year. You have something to be excited about. I mean, look, the Panthers and the Hornets haven't given us anything to be excited about the last 5 or 6 years. Right. So at least the soccer team is. So at least you can ride that momentum in terms of building business. So for now, it's a good thing. I'll say that much.
I agree. Charlotte FC is becoming a big thing in Charlotte. We need all of our pro sports teams to be successful.
Yeah.
So it's just better for the city when any team is winning. So
no doubt, man.
All right, before we go, my only shout, I don't think I have any other shout outs, but I do have a shout at the city of Charlotte again. And although this isn't completely their fault, but like we can't ever keep anything that is just Charlotte. The neon quadrille light sculpture, which is on the side of the old Duke Energy building, which is a prominent feature of the skyline, especially if you're going down 277, is coming down. And it will be replaced with apartments.
Of course it will. Of course it will.
Do we need more apartments in downtown Charlotte?
No. The answer is no.
I mean, that light sculpture has been there 27
years. That is so symbolic. Somebody else is going to look at them like, oh, it's just a light. But that is a symbol of what Charlotte is now. Let's throw away any little history we have, and let's throw up some apartments.
Yeah.
Before we go, I have a shout out, which also goes to the city of Charlotte as well for a different reason. The city of Charlotte made a Facebook post or social media post asking fans about upgrades to Spectrum Arena. Here's 2 problems I had. Now, on the face, I like the transparency. I like the fact that it actually reached out to people for feedback. So on the face is not a bad thing. But here's 2 problems I have with that. Number 1, you're going to do what the hell you want to do anyway. So I don't even know why you're even asking people what they think about it. Number 2, you're asking people who care nothing about Charlotte sports. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So to me, it's just rendered useless. Like I'll give you an A for effort, but why? Yeah, the feedback from the community means nothing. You had a bunch of people on the post replying angrily who didn't even read the caption,
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
which specifically stated you're not going to pay any taxes. The tax will come from the tourism tax and the hotel tax. And yet you had people from Gaffney, South Carolina, oh, don't take any more of my taxes. Yeah. Just look, man, make the upgrades to the arena and the hell with everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Just like how when we built the arena, we said, you know,
right.
Okay, yeah. Last shout out: Peppers and Moose inducted into the Panthers ring.
Overdue.
Way overdue.
Way overdue. Absolutely.
So, congrats to those guys. Two of the best to ever wear the electric blue. And
yeah.
So, props to them.
I got one more. It's not a shout out. Here's my closing remark. As always, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for joining us every week. As always, we are always appreciative. We don't say it enough. If you have not already, if this is your first time here, please like, share, subscribe. We need the algorithms to work our way. For those of you who have been watching us for a while, man, can y'all try to call in just one? Come on, y'all. I got the call-in phone right here. Y'all try to call in sometimes, man. We would love to actually hear from y'all. But anywho, man, we love having y'all. Thank you so much for joining us every week, man. We really appreciate y'all, man. Seriously.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great week. Hopefully there's some more wins before we see y'all again.
No doubt, man.
If not, then you guys can revel in misery with us. We appreciate that. Y'all take care.
Peace.